And we are not live, but it is Puka. It is Wednesday. Welcome, everybody. I'm trekking to the Edina office on a cloudy morning here. So, a couple of takes. Kyle Larson, I have some comments on Marion County, Knoxville, and the cancellation there. I want to start out by thanking our friends at Weir's Machine. Weir's Machine's got a little bit of everything. So if you're a racer, wheel spacers, frame mounts, panhard bars, clamps, just about everything. WEHRS, Weir'sMachine.com. Thank Chad for everything he does for racing. And then we also have our friends at Tesar Engineering. TesarEngineering.net, TESAR, TesarEngineering.net. You don't need to go to California for your motor. You don't need to go to Texas and have it shipped. You don't need to go to Florida. You can just go right to the Twin Cities and talk to Gary. His dad's still there, the operation. Their daughter Taylor has now joined the team too. So check out TesarEngineering.net. All right, so Knoxville decides to cancel the Lucas Oil Knoxville Dirt Late Model Nationals. They're obviously a little bit concerned after the 2 weeks ago when the sprint cars, World of Outlaws sprint cars, came through for the Knoxville Nationals. We saw a few teams leave with COVID cases. You know, they're trying to be politically correct. I don't get it. You know, dirt race. Kyle Larson raced there. He's not politically correct. Dirt race fans are not politically correct. I don't know how many 20 or 30 or 40 or 50-year-olds are worried about getting the coronavirus. Because when everything shut down back in March, April, nobody knew anything, right? We needed some time to digest this, do some research. But we know now, if you're over 80, and especially if you're over 80 and you already have underlying health conditions, you're in some trouble. But for the average Joe, it's no problem. And maybe the average Joe would rather get the corona now and get the antibody while it's 80 degrees in summer versus getting it on December 15th when it's 20 below and dark. I've shared on here my family story. My wife's got a lung disease. They told us, have warned us heavy. Be cautious. She cannot get COVID-19. Well, she's down at the Mayo just a few weeks ago, and they have to get tested. They're not going to let you in the Mayo Clinic, with corona. And they sit her down and say, well, we did the test. When did you have corona? And she's like, well, I haven't had corona. You obviously said I could be in dire straits if I get this. And they're like, well, you have the antibody. So sometime between May and July, she contracted it or somehow got the antibody. No, I have 4 kids. Nobody's sick. She was never sick. I was never sick. But she's got this antibody. So, at-risk people, be careful. She's at risk. Like I said, the elderly are at risk. But the 33-year-old guy, they said 460,000 people at Sturgis. Is the 30-year-old guy really worried about corona? And to lose a big show, not just for the racers as far as a purse, but of course the racers have sponsors they're trying to get exposure to. So now you're losing a show that would obviously be in front of fans, and then you're losing all that internet TV. And that's the thing, if a person's worried, they could still have at least got the app and watched the race. So I don't know, Marion County, to me it seems a little goofy. Now the weird thing about Knoxville is you have this historic, glorious facility, and it's still run by that fair board. I was down at Knoxville just a few years ago and ended up sitting by a board member, and I was astonished to hear that's like a 20-person board that runs that facility still. And it just goes to show that fair boards or even racing associations, you could still be successful in today's world. You got to innovate, you got to do things. Can't listen too much to the racers because they're just going to keep taking. But, if you want to promote something, you could still do it. I mean, Knoxville's a town of like 10, 12,000. It's not a big town. It's overshadowed by Des Moines, which I think Des Moines half hour, 45 minutes away. And that's only a town of, I think, a couple 100,000. So it's not like it's a megapolis, but, Knoxville's obviously done a great job. But like I said, I completely disagree with the fair board on this one. Have the race. The fans that are safe to show can show. The fans that are at risk, stay away. I think there's seating for like 60,000, and I think their original plan was to space people out, front stretch, back stretch. Normally the back stretch stands are not open for the dirt late model Knoxville Nationals, which they are for the sprints. And so just unfortunate for racing. All right, now on to Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson will be making his Lucas Oil Dirt late model, well, I guess just late model debut this week. They're in Port Royal, Pennsylvania. Thursday, 10 grand. Friday, 12 grand. Saturday, 15 grand. Social media is blowing up all kinds of predictions. Kyle Larson is obviously a great winged sprint car driver. Something I read said his first trip ever to North Dakota was last week. He won at Grand Forks. He won at Fargo, so I'm sure he loves North Dakota at this point. But you got to remember, he's also, during Indiana Midget Week back in June, he dominated. I think he won 6 of 8 nights there. And they're not winged. They got a big right rear tire, but they're not winged. Late models have a pretty big right rear tire. Late models also have fenders. Well, NASCAR also has fenders. So I think that, if it's a tacky, hammer down track, kind of throw the prediction out of the window. But I think if the track slicks off and you can maneuver a little bit, I would take the over on Kyle Larson. I think he's going to surprise many people. He's obviously got a ton of talent. Rumley's going to have great equipment for him. And like I said, he's raced fendered cars. And the more I hear on these dirt late models, it's more, 20 years ago it was all about the right rear. Now it's about the front right. And NASCAR is a lot about the front right. So I think that there's going to be a lot of parallels there. And I think that Kyle Larson is going to impress this week. They start racing tomorrow night. So make sure you check all of that out. Another social media story that's been kind of blowing up was Mississippi Thunder, a little closer to home here. Big late model modified special on Friday. They posted what ended up happening, if you didn't see it, is they ran the B mods, got rained out. Obviously, they saw the weather coming. People are questioning why they did what they did. They came out and said, hey, we wanted to redo the track. We wanted to have a great track for this event. They had good, competitive late model and modified field. If I was a fan, I could see you'd be a little discouraged, especially if you traveled. But at least you know the reasoning. They wanted great racing. And Mississippi Thunder in 2020, you talk about a track that's really put themselves on the map. I mean, Mississippi Thunder, the year of Mississippi Thunder is 2020. I don't know if RPM, Race Promoters Monthly, still does like a promoter of the year or a regional promoter of the year. But if they do a regional promoter of the year, I mean, MTS has to be at the top of the list. They've really made a name for themselves this year and really have put themselves on the map. So they're going to run on Friday night and keep the same purse. And so we will see what happens on Friday. And then also a little closer to home on Saturday this week, Ogilvy will be running Wizota late models for the first time, and I think the only time this year there. And if you're a dirt drafts guy, I think Pat Dorr kind of has that place figured out. I would put him, kind of at the top of the list there. So good luck to the Wagamans and everyone involved there. So you hopefully they have a successful event. I know Hibbing has backed off racing, so that Ogilvy can get that show in. Hibbing will just be doing a enduro. So the tracks are working together, and then the Labor Day shootout will be coming up here in Hibbing for 2 nights of racing. So I think that is about all I have. So once again, thanks for joining. Once again, thank you to my friends at Weir's Machine, WEHRS, weir'smachine.com, and also our friends at Tesar, TESAR, tesarengineering.net. Have a great day, everyone. We'll catch you on the next vlog.